Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we're doing 1996's Swingers. Before we get started, if you'd like to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you could follow me at Junior D's. You could follow Corey at Corey_Idol. Let's get into the cast of 1996's Swingers. This film stars Vince Vaughn as Trent, Jon Favreau as Mike, Ron Livingston as Rob, Patrick Van Horn as Sue, Alex Désert as Charles, and Heather Graham as Lorraine.
Such a good cast. They're so young.
A really good cast. I don't think Heather Graham has aged.
No.
She looks exactly the same. Jon Favreau, and especially Vince Vaughn, they look like babies in this.
Oh, dude. Vince Vaughn looks like he literally just came out of high school. Like, I don't think he was legally allowed to drink on set.
This was like the week after he filmed Rudy. Like, but, okay, a couple of things I just need to get out there. Mm-hmm. One, this is, and like a lot of these movies, I'm like, oh, I haven't seen this forever. It's been, whatever. I've watched this movie more regularly than a lot of the movies that we've reviewed. It is, and has been for me over the years, like one of the all-time funny comedies, like Trip or like friendship comedy type deals. I loved it when it came out. I love it now, and it never gets old for me.
No, I'm almost the opposite. I love it just as much as you. It had a profound effect on my early 20s.
Me too.
I mean, like an overwhelming, like it shouldn't have been that important.
Yes.
I went like Catcher in the Rye with it, I think. It wasn't good. But I have not seen this movie in forever because I have a thing where if I can recite 90% of the movie back to you,
yeah,
I don't need to see it again. I'm good. I remember it. I'm good. So if it does happen, like it did today, I am so pleasantly surprised with everything that I saw. I was just ecstatic to be watching it.
Yeah, no, same. And it did have a weird effect on my 20s. Probably an unhealthy effect on my 20s, which is basically when we met.
Yeah.
So this had a huge influence on that. And I swear to God, I had like a notebook out the second time I watched this. I probably rented it from Blockbuster or something.
And actually, I'm sorry to do this.
Here's a life lesson from Corey.
Hi, ladies from the early 2000s. Uncle Corey here. If I was inside of you and things ended poorly, then blame this movie because it wasn't my fault. That's all I'm saying.
I'll let Corey stick with those facts. But this movie opens in a diner where Mike is discussing his ex-girlfriend and trying to forget about her with his friend Rob. Mike then gets home afterwards, checks his voicemail, hoping that his ex left him a message, but to no avail. He then gets a call from Trent to try to get him to go out. So apparently his girlfriend broke up with him 6 months prior, and he's going through what a lot of us went through of just like, oh, she don't love me. We dated for 6 years, and like now it's over.
And this is such a great way where you open the movie and you are illustrating basically the three main roles here in this movie, which is Ron Livingston is his one friend from back east.
Yep.
Like, I've been with you through and through, but I'm very different from your other friend, Trent.
Yes.
Who is LA through and through and fake as shit. But I will say this, because I didn't remember this. Cares about Jon Favreau's character just as much as Ron, if not more than Ron Livingston. Because this guy is the friend we talk about how we are shitty friends.
Yes.
Trent is the friend you need to go find.
Yes, absolutely.
He's amazing.
Like, a lot of people will think he's a piece of shit, but he always looks out for his crew, for his guys. If he likes you, he will look out for you. And he does it constantly. And you think at the beginning here that he's just kind of fucking with them.
Mm-hmm.
But as the movie progresses, you see like, oh no, he actually gives a shit about him. Like he really is looking
cares
out.
about his friend. Yeah.
But they decide, Trent talks him into going to Vegas from LA. So they go to Vegas, baby.
I want to see the comments.
Yes.
Right? Just full of all the people who have been to Vegas and have said, Vegas, baby, whether you knew where it was from or not.
Vegas! Vegas, baby! Vegas!
This was like such a flashback of memories.
Yeah.
Because as an Arizona trash bag, I have quick access to a quick drive to Vegas, much like people in California do.
Yep.
So when you're driving and you are driving through that bleak, dark fucking desert, and you pop over that hill, and all of a sudden it is just nothing but fucking lights everywhere. That's immediately what you do. Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby.
It falls out of your mouth like fucking diarrhea if you're sick.
But the discussion of wearing suits while they're in the car and doing things to get comped while they're in the car, like this whole thing is absolutely hilarious. And just an FYI, and we'll get to this, here's a quick don't do that.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Hi, boys and girls out there. Don't pretend to be a high roller when you're not, when you go into the casino. Because A, it never ends well. And B, you are sniffed out so easily when you try to do this. That's why it never ends well. Because what happens here is basically what'll happen to you. It's like they have never been to Vegas before. Because
and you could tell that immediately when Favreau loses his mind over Trent putting on the suit.
I thought you said we're going to wear suits. Come on, man. If you're wearing a suit and you look like a gamble lot, they give you free shit.
Vegas to LA, I think it's a pretty decent drive.
It's almost 300 miles, I want to say.
So you got time.
Yeah.
You can stop at numerous places, pull off on the side of the road, and just change your fucking clothes like everybody else does. But the fact that Favreau is so wound up about having to put that suit on.
Yes.
And this is what's brilliant about this movie, especially if you're a guy, because I can't speak for women at all. From a man's point of view, we are every character in this movie at some point in time in our lives.
Absolutely.
Just pick a fucking day and you have been one of these guys.
Yep.
It just depends.
For me, it was a few years. I landed I started off as Mike, like in high school and like starting into college.
Mm-hmm.
And then from like the second half of college through my 20s, basically, I was basically Trent. Like I survived years in these characters.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I basically was the same. Like through high school, I was Mike, and then like after the first love of my life dumped me, bitch. R.I.P. Gilbert Gottfried, man. And then my first girl dumped me. I moved on, right? Sort of like Mikey did, just kind of depressed and shitty. And, I don't want to do anything. Yeah. And then I saw Swingers, and I went, oh, I can do that too? And then everything just changed.
Yeah.
Mikey never existed after that.
That was a day that Corey became an asshole. But that's okay. We love you anyway.
Yeah, hey, everybody has an origin story.
This trip starts out great. They're excited to get to Vegas. And then everything goes to shit once they get into the casino. And they have the discussion about like, hey, this is how you do it. And this is how you comp shit. This is how you get comped. And yada, yada. The waitress comes by. Mike's already in a goddamn tizzy. They get to the $100 minimum bet table. And Mike immediately loses $200 on his first hand of blackjack. And then they go to like the dirty low limit table to try to like salvage the night.
I live at the low limit table, by the way.
Dude, listen, if you've never been to a casino, I was going to say, if you ever been to a casino, there's little signs that tell you what the minimum bet, which is what leads me to believe that they've never really been to gamble at the casino. Like they just sit down at the table and he's like, yeah, here's your $300 chips. And he's like, dude, I need something smaller increments. Like that's when you know you're in way over your head. And believe me, I'm with you. I live at the dirty, like low limit poker table
I'm
or
very
blackjack
happy.
table.
I'm very happy at the $5 table.
100%.
I'll sit
100%.
there all day long, baby. And I've done it before too, where I've been up big and shit faced, and I've stumbled over to the $100 table acting like I'm a baller, and I walked out that motherfucker broke in about 5 minutes.
Yes, absolutely. I've done it multiple times. So the guys managed to meet some women, one of the waitresses, her friend, and they go back to the trailer of one of the women to hang out.
Vince Vaughn is so great in this whole fucking thing here.
Yes.
From the way he tries to pick her up, because Favreau's taking control, right?
Yeah.
Basically, this is Favreau's show. He's coming in, he's telling Vaughn how he's going to play it. He's the one doing all the talking, trying to be all good to go. Once the waitress comes back after they've been humiliated at the $100 table, Trent decides he's taking over the scene, and he's done fucking around now. Because he was never there to gamble in the first place. He doesn't say 2 words the entire time Favreau's making an ass of himself.
Yes.
He just lets him go. And then it's finally like, nah, well, okay. We're doing it my way.
Yeah.
Totally respect it. And it's funny as shit.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And it works.
Absolutely.
At least it did. I haven't tried to pick up a woman, and I don't even fucking remember how long. So, full disclosure, I don't know if these tactics work. Don't follow my advice.
They worked
back in the early 2000s. Oh, baby, did that clean up.
I was going to say that worked in the 90s, in the late 90s, and into the early 2000s. Beyond that, no clue.
The amount of cocktail waitresses through the Midwest that had a low-grade venereal disease because of me, it's not even funny.
Hell yes.
So they're in this girl's trailer. And once again, everything is going well. And Mike throws a hand grenade into the whole situation by talking about his ex, wanting to use the phone to check his messages while Trent is in the back trying to bang. Here's the other really cool thing. I got 2 things for you. First, this is one of the first instances where you see that Trent is actually looking out for Mike. Because
best friend you will ever have.
Exactly. Because most friends in this situation just ignore you. They're like, I'm going to get laid here, so I'm going to do my thing. But he stops. They're getting hot and heavy. He stops everything and goes, hold on a second. I just want to check on my guy. It looks like they're like maybe making out or whatever. And then he shuts the thing and he's like, all right, cool. He's good to go. I'm good to go. And on the back of that, I'm going to do a don't do that.
Don't do that. It's not good for you.
Hi, guys and gals out there. It's fine if you're a Mike. It's totally okay. And you can totally blow up your own spot and talk about your ex. I could do it, don't do that. And don't talk about your ex. Blah, blah. Do it if you want. However, don't ruin it for everybody else involved. And not just like your friend. Because she's also having a good time with your friend. You killed the mood and the night for everybody.
Yeah, that chick knew, the cocktail waitress, I forget her name, I'm sorry. The cocktail waitress knew exactly what time it was. The second Trent started opening his fucking mouth and running his game back in the casino.
Yes, absolutely.
This was the inevitable conclusion to her night because that's exactly how she wanted it to go. And Mikey is fucking it all up. You're 100% correct.
I don't like to use the term cringy a lot. However, Mike and Jon Favreau does a great job in these scenes.
Oh yeah.
But Mike is so spine-tingling cringy that as the audience member, I feel embarrassed for him. Like, don't do that. Like, I genuinely did one of these where you curl up like, oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, past heartbreak started coming back just from watching this. I remember that kind of feeling where you just is it? You know what the answer is too.
Yes.
You know she's not on your answering machine. You
Yeah.
know it.
Exactly.
But still, just like, it's like what Steve Buscemi said in Con Air. Like, moments of levity bring him pain.
Yes.
That's like, the fact that Trent is getting laid is just making Favreau even more sick to his stomach.
Exactly. And you see that throughout the movie because Trent and Sue, who we meet here in a minute, make it look so easy that they could just effortlessly talk to women, and they're not emotionally tied. And Mike wants to be that so badly, and he just can't get over himself, like that, his own hurdles.
Oh,
so,
and look, dude, I've known guys who thought they were Trent and Sue.
A lot of guys think they're Trent and Sue and their mics.
Way more handsome than me who thought they were Trent and Sue and could just be crushing it any day they want to.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they just don't want that. They can't bring themselves to being that or whatever. And I'm not saying they're necessarily a Mike, like, oh, you're fucking pathetic and all that.
Yeah.
No, I agree with these guys. Mike is money. He just doesn't know it.
Mike, I'm telling you, you're money. You're so fucking money.
And what Trent and Sue and all these other guys seem to get confused, maybe other than Ron Livingston, is that while Favreau wants to kind of have that life, he wants a relationship.
Yes,
He's a relationship guy.
So on the ride home, Trent lays into Mike again about getting over his ex and how not to land in the friend zone with women.
Everybody raise your hands who still uses puppy dogs and ice cream to illustrate a point.
You start talking to him about puppy dogs and ice cream, of course it's going to end up on the friendship tip.
Every single time for the past, 26 years?
Yeah, I don't remember what age I was when this movie was first viewed, but I do know that ever since then, puppy dogs and ice cream has been a regular staple in my vernacular.
Back in LA, Mike and Rob get together for some golf at a par 3 golf course. They discuss Rob's possible new role as Goofy, while Mike mentions that he hasn't brought up his ex once this whole round.
Again, this is what I mean by we're all each one of these characters, because this scene, again, sometimes you and I, dude, when we would step out, we were Trent and Sue. We were just on our fucking game and smooth Johnny Cool and in it.
Yeah.
Other times we're both Mikes. We were, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then this scene, when we went golfing, this was us.
Yeah.
This was the two of us golfing, especially taking 8s on every hole on a par 3 course.
So later that night, Mike and Trent are at Sue's apartment to play some Sega and some NHL 94 or whatever.
Love this scene with all of my heart.
This scene is great. So they're talking about going out. They're playing hockey on the Sega, and just them, like when Mike goes to get the food, and they're yelling at Mike when he's like, "Oh, I'm going to make Wayne Gretzky's head bleed." Like, all of this is literally like looking into and being a fly on the wall when guys hang out. There's literally nothing serious being discussed. They're discussing this video game, the last year's version of the video game and the updates, and they're wrestling and just being dumb, especially young dudes in their 20s. Like, that's
and the guy that doesn't have the controller going, "Yo, hurry up, I want to fucking play."
Exactly. Mike and Rob then meet up with Mike's buddy Charles, another starving actor. They meet at a local bar. They stay there for a total of 4 seconds, and then they finally make it to a party in the Hollywood Hills where Mike tries to talk to some women, but to no avail because he drives a Cavalier. And Trent here shows the guys how he does it and how he picks up women when he goes up to Groucho Marx and starts talking to her.
And before we get into that, Charles's line is another one I also steal and have used all the time. Anytime I'm anywhere.
Yes.
And somebody goes, "Hey, you want to go to this place?" Yeah, why not? This fucking place is dead anyway.
Place is dead anyway.
I know everybody stuck with the puppy dogs and ice cream, or that's money, your money. There's beautiful babies. Like, there's a lot of really quotable lines from this movie that a lot of people use to this day. But it's dead anyway. is one of my favorites.
Yes, mine too. And the way he delivered it was just fantastic. And the joke wasn't just like, but it's a joke. Like you had to see the entire scene. Like any other place in the world, to any other person in the world, that is packed. It's the place to be. It is going on, right?
Yep.
Nah, we're leaving. This fucking place is dead anyway.
After the party, the guys agreed to head to their favorite after-hours spot. And Trent and Sue once again meet and talk to some girls. Mike is in awe once again of how easy it is for them. And Trent and Sue convince Mike that this is where they have the conversation of he's a big bear and he needs to hunt the little bunny with his claws and his teeth. And Mike then meets and talks to Nikki and gets her phone number.
Dude, do you want to talk about cringe? Like stomach curling cringe is coming up. As soon as I saw Nikki,
you remembered?
Oh, dude, I just had like an empty stump, like verp come up, just thinking about it. Just like, oh God. Because let me tell you, I have never been Mike to just like that. My life is fucking over because X person left me. Never been that. Yeah. However, I have been the guy in a dry spell for so long that I overeager run your answering machine to a quick suicide.
I can honestly say I don't think, I mean, I could have and just blocked it out. I don't think I've ever done that. I've called too quickly because they also discuss here how long to call. And to be perfectly honest, this is one of the notes that I took when I was a younger guy was, oh, you wait 2 days, you wait 3 days, you wait 6 days, whatever. I took those notes and I stuck to that.
If this was written as a joke, it literally became the industry standard after this.
Absolutely.
If anybody called anyone inside of 3 days after getting their number, because that's what we have to do is actually like talk that way.
Yes.
It was so bad. Like it was like, ooh, you clingy motherfucker, what's wrong with you?
After they leave the bar, Sue gets into a verbal altercation with some dudes in the parking lot, and he pulls out a gun. The group splits up as Trent and Mike get into it with Sue, and there's a whole yelling match, and everybody's drunk. And typically what would happen is like everybody fights, and then like 2 days later, everybody makes up, and we're all good again. Let's go out.
Well, and this is such a great scene, too, because these guys have never had any conflict with other guys. So they seem really cool, like with it and all this shit. And even in the Sopranos, Christopher brings it up when he meets Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Like you guys model yourselves after the Rat Pack, like Frank and Dean and those guys. You're kind of a bunch of pussies because you see here where like when the shoulder bump happens, Sue's immediately like, what the fuck? Like, let's go.
Yeah.
The rest of his crew,
they want no part of it.
They're scared shitless. Not even it's not like, oh, I don't want to fight tonight, man. Come on. It's like, oh shit. Yeah. The other guy's crew is like, oh, we're all going to beat the fuck out of you now. Like this is happening.
Yes. No, exactly. And Mike actually makes a comment about Sue at the party.
Oh, he's a bad guy. You know, look at he's mean. He came out of his fucking blood came out of his fucking mouth. He's nasty, man. Nice guy though. That guy's cool.
After getting back home, this is where Mike decides to call Nikki, but he blows it by leaving 4 voicemails in a row, and she answers the machine on like his last call to her, and she tells him not to call her again, and now Mike's even more depressed, and he doesn't leave his apartment for days.
And this is when Mike should have given up too. This should have been like rock bottom.
Well, and he's talking about like possibly moving back to New York, and it's not happening here. Like this was just the last thing in a laundry list of other things that haven't gone well for him since he's been in LA. And this is the I'm giving up and moving back home phase.
Yes, if I may quote Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction, he had what alcoholics refer to as a moment of clarity.
Absolutely. And Rob, him and Rob have this like long-ish discussion about relationships and how Rob got over one of his long relationships. Mike then feels better and decides he's going to ride things out in LA. And they decide to go out that night. So Mike then ends up at Sue's apartment again and meets up with the guys, where he sees the dudes that Sue got into it with at the bar the other night playing Sega and having a good time. Sue apologizes to Mike and they go to the nightclub for swing night.
And can I just say that I know this might be like, guys, and a little sappy, but when you fuck up with your boys, just apologize, dude.
Exactly.
That's all. Just admit that you were. He does it the right. It wasn't, look, man, I was drunk or whatever, but I'm sorry. That's not an apology. What an apology is what Sue does here, where he says, look, man, I'm sorry. I was out of line. I was drunk. I was fucked up. See, you use the same words, but the way you organize them fucking matters. And you could tell his apology was actually sincere.
They go to swing night, and the film then here pays homage to Martin Scorsese with the walk through the kitchen and the nightclub and Goodfellas. And they also do the other homage to Reservoir Dogs, the slow motion walk, that whole thing. So there's a couple of little things that they just kind of put in here. Which
was a great meta joke. Just them talking about how, you know, Tarantino ripped Scorsese, and then literally the last line is, it's Hollywood, man. Everybody's ripping off everybody. And then that scene. Just a beautiful meta joke. And I appreciate when directors or filmmakers or producers, whoever puts that in, the writer, whatever. I appreciate when they do that, because that's like a little thing for us that are actually paying attention.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you're fucking around on your phone and you're dicking around, you're totally going to miss that joke. It goes right over your head.
Yep. Absolutely.
So thanks, John. Appreciate it.
So they're in the club now. They get to drinking. Vince Vaughn throughout this night is fantastic. Mike sees Lorraine at the bar as he goes to get a drink, so he decides to talk to her. And they talk for a minute as Trent and Sue look on. And Vince Vaughn, he is fantastic here.
Yeah, he is drunk Armando here.
It surprised me that you've never mentioned her before. All the times we've hung out.
Never even mentioned me?
Very pretty girl.
I've totally mentioned her.
Developing this horribly awkward situation just to make himself laugh. Because he's writing Sue constantly about not calling this girl back. And like, then he looks at the girl who just showed up to the booth. Here's the thing is, she's a great girl. She's a great girl, right?
Yeah.
It's just totally making life impossible for Sue. For nothing else than to make himself laugh that night.
Maybe that's why I thought it was fantastic of Vince Vaughn. But I mean, he's literally brilliant throughout this whole thing.
It is funny as shit. And when you would do that to everybody not named Corey, it is funny as shit.
So Mike and his new friend Lorraine, they start swing dancing. It looks like Mike is genuinely having a good time for the first time in this movie.
And Mike teaches all of us, actually.
Here's a life lesson from Corey.
Hi, kids. Uncle Corey here. Mike here teaches all of you a fantastic lesson about life. Is just do something. Because you haven't tried it, it doesn't mean shit.
Yep.
Like, he's ready to walk off when the fast swing dancing starts, and, you know, he's nervous, and he's looking around, and he sees the little guy run by, and he's doing the whole shaky thing with his big fucking fedora on. And it's all cool, but he's nervous as fuck, right?
Yeah.
And then she just kind of like, dude, relax. Like, it's just fucking dancing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then he starts having a good time.
Yeah.
You don't have to do all the twirly-whirly shit, as Vince Vaughn puts it. You can just, you know, dance like he did, and it's fantastic. I thought that was a great scene, and it's a great lesson for everybody out there. Like, stop taking yourself so seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much across the board.
Well, and here's a don't do that. Don't do that. It's not good for you. Hi, guys and gals. Just a quick don't do that when you're picking up a girl and you see the duality, I guess, of Mike from the beginning of this movie to the end of this movie, and like now he's finally realized that like everything's cool and everything's gonna be okay, and he finally can calm himself down enough to talk to this girl. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be a Trent to talk to women and pretend that you're a race car driver or a producer or whatever. You could do what Mike does here, and believe me, it works. Corey and I have perfected it. The whole self-loathing and the jokes and all of that, it works. It happens to be how I truly feel, but it works to loosen things up, and it makes people laugh. Nobody wants the sad guy, but if you have like, I'm sad, but it's still funny, that works too.
Yeah, typically the opposite of what people are expecting of you, I have found is a good way to go, especially if your attempt is to get noticed.
Yeah.
So, where most people would want to brag, I will be the first one to make fun of my baby dick. I have no problem with it. Because if all goes right, you're going to find out one way or another at the end.
And you won't be disappointed. You're setting expectations super low. And that's what I like about you. So after the club, Trent, Mike, and Sue had to grab something to eat and discuss the turnaround that Mike's had. And Mike seems to be moving on and feeling better about himself. And again, Vince Vaughn here. And you talk about things that you still say to this day.
Because you're grown up and you're grown up and you're grown up.
I've said it a million times.
Yes.
It's the little things Vince Vaughn does here. And I'm not 100% sure. So I do know, I did this much research. And because their budget was so small, they had to film it, because normally on films, you rent out the place of business. You put all your extras in and you film. And sometimes your budget just isn't there. So you have to pay less money to the ownership so they could stay open and run. Mm-hmm. And you're filming around regular people. They did this at the party. It was actually like a Hollywood party. They did this in this restaurant scene, and a lot of these scenes they did it because they didn't have enough money. I don't know if this is true, but the whole thing with Jon Favreau laughing, the camera's over his shoulder, and Vince Vaughn turns around, he's doing his fucking loud thing, and he takes his plate of food and he gives it to the guy behind him, and he's like, here, you can have it. I couldn't touch it. I'm full. And you could tell Favreau's laughing in the shot.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to think that it was just some random guy in the restaurant that Vaughn was fucking with.
That'd be pretty great if it was.
But his whole performance in this scene is great.
Oh, yeah. Like, this is one of the best displays of a just drunk as shit human being I've ever seen.
I'm the asshole in the place, right? I'm the asshole. I'm out of here. I'm not eating anything. I wouldn't eat here. I would never eat here anyway.
I've said that every time I've been thrown out of a restaurant.
So the next day, Mike gets a call from his ex. She wants to talk about like their relationship and things. And Mike gets another call, and it's Lorraine on his call waiting.
And this was the foreshadowing that Ron Livingston had alluded to at the beginning. Like, they're only going to call you when they know you've actually forgotten.
Yep.
If you still have even an inkling, a little ember burning inside of you, they're not calling. But once you've forgotten and you've completely, like, your mind is on some other being, they will contact when they call. You.
Absolutely.
Immediately.
Yes. And he gets back. He clicks back over to his ex. He ends that call quickly and then gets back to talking to Lorraine. And the movie ends as Mike meets Trent out for coffee. And they talk about all the events that transpired with Lorraine and his ex. And during this conversation, Trent is brought crashing down to earth when he thinks this woman is flirting with him, but instead she's just playing like games with her baby at the table. And again, Vince Vaughn drives a lot of these scenes.
Oh, 100%.
Just because of his personality is just so big in this. And it's really great. And it goes back to, when we talk about formulating jokes and the jokes on him at the end. And he's there with the napkin and look at the baby. Yeah, look at the baby.
Dude, Favreau, and I tell you what the funniest part of this scene was Favreau just going, "What are you doing?" Like, I understand, like, this is Trent. Like, he said and done some fucking weird shit. But, like, what do you do? Like,
Yeah.
You're literally acting like a baby across the restaurant at this woman. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That for me was the gold of that
Yes.
scene. And then,
Yeah.
of course, her actually talking to the baby and just Favreau smiling at him and him trying to stutter his way back out of it.
Yeah.
This movie is fucking brilliant
100%.
From start to finish. I mean, you can see in a lot of guys' first movies, because this was Favreau's first movie.
Yeah.
And you can see, at least behind the camera, you can see kind of where they're going in their career. You can tell that this dude was going to be a fantastic storyteller, regardless of what the story or medium was. Mm-hmm. Nobody was going to predict him fucking revitalizing the Marvel Cinematic Universe with one movie in Iron Man. But he did it. And now he's revitalized Star Wars with The Mandalorian. I mean,
yeah. Well,
he deserves every bit of success he's gotten, because this movie was so well done and so accurate. And the only way you can be that accurate is to be incredibly self-aware, especially at that age.
No,
being that self-aware at that age to write that character and then play it was phenomenal.
Like I said before, I read a little bit about this just over the years because I was so interested in this movie and how it got made and whatever. And I want to say in an interview, he said he wrote this in like a week and a half.
Jesus.
Like the whole script, he just knocked it out. And he basically just took from his experiences, moving out to LA and, breaking up with his girlfriend and all that stuff, and added everything around it. The way the movie was shot was brilliant. A lot of it was just like guerrilla camera style. Like they just went into these parties and these bars and whatever, and the cameras weren't that great. They were like 35 millimeter fucking horse shit where they had to like wrap pillows and shit around it because the camera itself was making too much noise that it was picking up on the mics. Like, how they did this on such a low budget and still made it look really good was awesome. Oh. And the other really cool note is that the whole, you got teeth, you got these claws and these teeth.
And you're looking at your claws and you're looking at your fangs and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know what to do, man. I don't know how to kill the bunny. With this, you don't know how to kill the bunny. Do you know what I mean?
Vince Vaughn actually had that conversation with Jon Favreau, and Favreau thought it was so funny that he put it into the script. And that whole scene, especially with Sue in the background.
You're like a big bear, man.
That scene is fucking hysterical.
Oh, yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Obviously, this movie still holds up. But I don't think Favreau gets enough credit. But he's a great storyteller. What he's done with the Marvel Universe is fucking incredible. And he's not a bad actor either. He's a really good actor, too.
No, yeah. I mean, look, the guy's just talented as shit. Everybody in this movie did a great job. Obviously, Ron Livingston went on to have a good career.
Yep.
Fucking Vince Vaughn was a massive A-list star for fucking forever, and I don't know why he's not, but whatever. Actually, that's a lie, because Freaky was good as shit.
It's on my list, but I still haven't seen it yet.
I highly recommend Freaky. But yeah, man, it's such a good movie. This is why I don't like watching movies all the time that I really love, because this was so refreshing to watch. And having not seen it in so long, the outside impression of it, or what I remembered of it, was kids in their 20s running around chasing pussy in LA. And that's really not it. It's about these guys and their friendship and just trying to help pull their other buddy out of this funk and depression because they do really care about it.
You were right.
I thought the movie was a lot deeper than I remembered it. I think I think the writing is still some of the best writing you can find, and very original. And almost nothing in it really is dated, because they're set in this kind of weird throwback, big band.
I did like how I liked how he did that. And the whole thing about noticing how how much deeper it is than, just a bunch of dudes trying to chase tail. I think that's a symptom of being older. I've noticed that with a lot of movies we've reviewed, and especially this one. Like, this one tops the list. I was like, oh, lessons. Like, it's actually about something other than just, chasing after ass all night.
Are we sex addicts too?
Hell yes.
All right. Well, we're not going to do the list of movies. Instead, what we're going to do is in the description. If you want to scroll down to see what's coming up next, we will put the list of movies in the description. Or if you want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, again, Junior D's, Corey_idol. Corey will put the list up on Twitter, and I will also retweet as well. So
you know what's fucked up about this too is this is the first time I actually have a comprehensive list in like the last 10 weeks. So
look at you.
Because you're grown up and you're grown up and you're grown up.
Well, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1996's Swingers.